Okay, this is lesson 49, Algebra 2. And we're going to go back and review a couple concepts. Linear intercepts and transversals. So we're going to start with linear intercepts. If we said y equals mx plus b, this is called y-intercept form for a linear equation. Linear means straight line. Linear intercepts means where it crosses the axis. A straight line that crosses either the x-axis or the y-axis, or both. We know we have this equation, y equals negative 2/3 x plus 2. The 2/3, negative 2/3, tells us that we have a negative slope, and the difference between the rise, which is the 2, over the run is 2/3. And positive 2 tells us that's where it crosses the y-intercept at 2. 0. All right? Pretty easy to tell when you have that. Then sometimes, if you look at the example on 49a, it's got one that has an equation, and it's, I don't know, at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it crosses at 4. Well, it's more like almost straight line, but it curves just a little bit. Let me redraw this. So it kind of is a little bit, almost looks like it could be a straight line. Okay, so this is 4, y, x. Okay, so sometimes they want us to find the equation. Well, we can find the slope by drawing a right triangle and finding the difference of the y over the x. Right, the difference from here to here, right, over the difference from here to here. Now, if you look at, they don't show you what numbers they use, but basically, when they did it, they said the slope is approximately, we know because it's going down, it's a negative slope, is approximately negative 6. Well, if we put it in our y equals negative 6x plus b, how can we find b? We need a y and an x. Well, we can simply estimate and find a coordinate that we think it looks like it crosses at the coordinate 4, 0. So that's your x and your y coordinate. So we can simply put this into here and say 0 equals negative 6 times 4 plus b. It's negative 24 plus b equals 0. We plus 24 to both sides. B is 24. So that's my slope. So now I can actually go and write an equation that says y equals negative 6x plus 24. And this is just going back to what we've already done. The important thing is you must know the slope-intercept form, which says y equals mx plus b. B is your y-intercept, where it crosses the y-axis, and m is your slope, and tells you the negative slope goes down, positive slope is going to go up that way. And it tells you the difference in rise over run between 2 points on that line. Okay? So sometimes you just have to estimate and look at the graph and say, find a point that looks like you can find the exact coordinate and estimate, and so you're going to get an estimation. Get x and y and find your slope, then you can find b, and then you can write your equation. To write your equation, you need the slope and the y-intercept. The m and the b. You don't need the y and x because you leave them as is. Okay, so moving on to 49.b. And here we're looking at transversals. And we learned earlier, if you have two parallel lines, right, and you cut it with a transversal line, you're going to get two lines that are supplementary. The two angles together are going to equal 180 degrees. These two and these two. And you're going to have proportional. So this angle is going to equal to this angle. And this angle is going to equal to this angle. We'll call this a y. Okay? And then opposites are going to equal x. I probably should use something like m. That way you can see that they're different. Okay? So we learned that. We also learned, let's look at this. If we make a triangle, okay, and they call this B, and this T, and they call this, no, they call that T, they call this 7, and this A. Alright, and they say this is 153 degrees. Find angle P and find B and A. Well, this is 153 degrees. This right here has to equal what? It has to equal 27 degrees because the two have to equal 180. If this is 153, this is 153, and P has to equal 27 degrees. So we have P equals 27 degrees. Well, then they want us to find A and B. Well, we could normally use the Pythagorean theorem with the right triangle, but we're missing two sides, so it's not possible. You have to have only one unknown. But what is possible is we could say sine of 27 degrees equals B over 7. Cosine of 27 degrees equals A over 7. And tangent of 27 degrees equals B over A. Well, these are two unknowns, so that's not going to help us. But I can go in my calculator and punch in 27 degrees, sine of 27 degrees, and then multiply it by 7. And I would get for that, B is equal to 3.15. And A is equal to 6.23. Now, I could have taken this and used the Pythagorean theorem, but it isn't much easier just to do the cosine of 20. Let me see that. Sorry, I couldn't see all this. The cosine of 27 degrees, which is A over B. That would be much easier to do. So we're just using transversal lines, what we know, and then using our sine and cosine. And we can also have used Pythagorean theorem to find the B coordinate up here. I mean the A once we found B. But it was just much easier just to do cosine of 27 times 7 because we're solving for A. And you get A is approximately 6.23. Okay? So look at your practice problems, A and B, and attempt those, do them, and we'll see you in class.